Good.
We're talking today about the absolute worst ways that you can end a chapter. We're talking about the type of examples that readers are going to point and stare at your book, and they're going to make videos where they mock it online. So if you want to avoid some embarrassment, please watch this video and I'll teach you exactly what to avoid. We're going to go through 7 terrible.
Substack has also recently introduced live video streaming for its users, allowing for direct engagement with subscribers.
Horrible, no good, very bad ways to end your chapters, and by the end of this video, you're going to feel much more confident about your ability to close.
Let's do the video.
First mistake when closing off your chapters is only using cliffhangers.
All right. Only using cliffhangers. Dun dun dun.
So look, cliffhangers are a great technique. Nothing wrong with them. You should use them semi-frequently in your book. But the problem comes when you do nothing except use cliffhangers. And every single chapter is like, oh, another cliffhanger. It gets a little monotonous. It feels like a one-trick pony. Now, for an example of this, we're gonna go into a segment called Pick on Dan Brown. Now, if you enjoy Dan Brown, I mean, that's cool. That's cool. We can still be friends. I do think there are some things that writers can learn from Dan Brown. For instance, a structure or something like pacing. But I do think there are lots of things to pick on with him. So in my video on metaphors, we definitely picked on Dan Brown a little bit. And for this one, we're going to look at his book, The Lost Symbol, which has 134 chapters. And virtually every single one of them
fuck you, Muffin.
ends in a cliffhanger.
I mean,
some of these chapters are only a page long, and then a long chapter will be like 3
fuck
to
you
4
too,
pages.
Muffin.
And they end in cliffhangers like, soon you will lose everything you hold most dear. And
different places are saying different things. Someone said I need a physical address.
Someone was
I didn't. I just literally created it.
With having cliffhangers for every single chapter. And over time, as the reader goes through the book, it starts to get less and less surprising, and it starts to be less and less effective. Think about sentence variety, right? Why do you vary up your sentences? Because the reader sort of gets bored if there's a monotonous like da-da-da-da-da-da-da throughout your entire book. Same thing holds for chapter endings. You have to vary up your strategy with chapter endings to keep the reader entertained. The second terrible, no good, awful way to end your chapters is with character.
Substack's policy on using AI is evolving, but generally they encourage transparency about AI usage and discourage the presentation of AI-generated content as original human work. While not explicitly banning AI, they emphasize the importance of disclosing AI use and maintaining the platform's focus on human connection and quality content. Yeah, so like for instance, I don't use AI to write, I use AI to edit. And when I do use AI to write, I completely construct the plot, and then I see the direction that the AI goes, and then I use that as inspiration. But yeah, I'd always label it as completely, like all of my things on Rural Road are all specified with AI because they were facilitated through some means by AI, right? Going to sleep. Smokey! I think you're ruffling the feathers a little bit there, bro. Substack provides one. No, for all email lists, you need to add your physical address to the end of your emails. Chris AM! Welcome, welcome. Levi! How's it going, bro? Fuck yeah! Guys, I can use Substack. Oh my god. You can just lie about not using AI if the AI detection tools don't detect AI in your writing. Joku Killer, welcome, welcome. No one will be able to prove it. I mean, that's very true, Joku, but I'm like, if I edit it with AI, I mean, I'm like, yeah. And, like, we were saying earlier in the stream, I think it's good for AI. Right? So I know, Chris. There you go, Smokey. Finally someone that you know. What was number 1, so I'm still in the loop? Number 1 was cliffhangers, Levi. Always ending every single chapter on a cliffhanger. Not just using it, but like literally every single chapter ends with some sort of extreme cliffhanger that's like literally super clickbait. But with AI, I think instead of thinking about it negatively, think about it positively, in the fact of when I look for writing, I look to see if it has AI in it, and that's what I want. I want to see works that were facilitated through some means by
Thank you
AI.
for redeeming chair dance. Hitox will now dance for you.
Okay, I'll make
Please fully
a
enjoy
Substack
this
right
immersive
now
experience.
and move the 60 people that have been sitting there for a year. True. But yeah, Joku, welcome, welcome. Do you have a Substack, good sir? Because we just found out about this this new site the book was talking about called Substack. I'm gonna start streaming on it.
Bitch, it ain't over
It's
yet.
for writing and like content and stuff like that. You can post videos on it. We're gonna start streaming on it in a couple days if we can figure it out. It seems pretty easy because I'm like, the problem with like writing, right, is no one goes on to Twitch for writing. Like, I'm talking generally, right? Like, you look at the writing category, it has 5,000 followers. Not even 5,000 followers. Like, it's a very small category. It's probably one of the smallest categories, right? So, what's a site that is meant for writing? So people go on there specifically for writing. And Book mentioned Substack, and so we created a Substack. And it links to all of your stuff. So I got the YouTube on there, I got the TikTok on there, we'll add the Twitter later, and all of that. So if you're interested, here, actually, let me link that. If you're interested, we're all making one. And then we can create our own little kind of community on there and branch ourselves out from there. Because remember, ape strong together. You can chat on there as well. Yeah, there's like chat functions and stuff like that. All these kinds of different interactions that you can do, and auto shares to other websites and stuff like that. So it's very good and very helpful for promoting, whereas like Twitch and Kick are not necessarily the best for promoting unless you're in a chat like mine that allows people to talk about their work and wants people to show me their work, and I want to promote people's work, and I want everyone to work together on our ideas, because the only, the best ideas are multiple perspectives, when you take multiple perspectives into account, and when it's based off of something that's realistic or like a real world thing, either an emotion or something like that works with it. Wait, is that meant specifically for writers? Yes, Joku, it's meant it's like Royal Road and like TikTok, I guess, combined, because it's like a phone app as well. So it's like a Royal Road TikTok, kind of. And you can like live stream on it, you can post videos on it, you can chat on it, you can look at other people. Yeah, Substack's primarily designed for writers and other content creators who want to publish newsletters and build a paid subscription-based audience. It's like a Patreon for writers, I guess, is actually like probably a better way to do it. Provides tools for writers to share their work directly with subscribers, manage subscriptions, and potentially monetize their content through paid subscriptions. Yeah. So it definitely seems like a very good site. So we'll have to check it out.
Character going to sleep. Now, why is a character going to sleep just such a terrible ending for your chapters? I mean, it's a natural stopping point, right? I think the trouble is that it is a natural stopping point, and that you're telling the reader like, oh, this is the end. You don't have to read any further. It gives the reader nothing to look forward to. Like, you have to give the reader at the end of a chapter a reason to keep reading. Also, I want you to think of all the people reading books late at night. When you end a chapter with a character going to sleep, you're kind of sending them this subconscious message like,
instead of
you
60.
also
Nice.
should go to
There
sleep.
you go, Callie.
You don't want to tell them that. You don't want them to stop reading. You want them to be absolutely hooked on your book and stay up way too late. So a general principle for ending one of your chapters is you never want to end.
Scrolling the homepage, what is this weird ass posts from people? Some are talking about computer science. I see some AI generated fake news article, and some guy is making a poem about cats. It's like it's quite random. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff on it. It's content creator heaven.
On an end point. I know that seems like totally counterintuitive, but the end of a chapter should be a beginning, not an ending. But I will list at least one exception to this whole, like, you shouldn't end a chapter with going to sleep. There's a book by Haruki Murakami called The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, and he ends probably, I don't know, 15 chapters in his book, at least, with a character going to sleep. And as I was reading it, I'm like, how is this working? Because I do continue on reading, and then I realized that this is a book entirely about getting into the subconscious and like going into the dream world. So him falling asleep actually is part of the plot in that particular book. But that's a very weird exception. For 99% of the books that you're writing, you don't want to end on going to sleep.
Yeah,
this next mistake is probably
true book. Post the link. I want to see this shit. I have a link. Good one, Smokey. Good one. Okay, post the link, Callie. I want to see your Substack. I want to see your Substack, bro. What's your name on Substack? I don't know what that is. Hell yeah. Alright, guys. We're building the network, guys. That's what it's all about. We're slowly but surely. Levi, you should make one too, bro. I'm gonna have a large contingency. It's the best way to start off.
probably the most common mistake I see with chapter endings.
Hell yeah.
And it is number 3, the dribble on chapter ending.
Dribble on chapter ending. Is this like ending with exposition? So this is Substack. Doesn't sound like it's for me. Site definitely seems like it's meant for mobile and PC. Was considered later. Oh yeah, definitely. Just like TikTok, but it's better than TikTok. It doesn't just refresh 1,000 fucking times.
Almost all the time with the ends of chapters, the mistake that writers make is not ending too early. They almost always end too late. And ending a chapter like this feels kind of like a petering out. Like there's some sort of event or some sort of action which is a high point, and then there's some discussion of that event and maybe a little bit of character movement or action, and then the chapter dribbles out to a very weak ending. Now, I almost never see this in published books. I almost always see it in books that I'm editing. So I don't really have a good example I can show you of this. But I have something better. I have a solution for you. When you suspect that maybe you don't have exactly the right place to end your chapter, what I want you to do is go backwards paragraph by paragraph, looking for a good stopping point. Watch my video on good ways to end a chapter, and then look for a plot complication or a memorable line of dialogue or an arrival or a new message. And most of the time you will find a better stopping point for your chapter, a half
Except balls. Don't dribble my balls, man. That's
page back or a full page back. And then you simply can delete all that extra stuff. Or if something's really, really necessary, you would put it in the next chapter. Now, the next mistake is one that you want to avoid at all costs. It is number 4, wrapping up the action. Your goal is never to end your chapters at an end point. Rather, you want them to end on some sort of beginning. So if, say, a chapter is having an argument between a man and a wife, you would not end when the argument is over. You end when one of them do something after the argument. One of them, say, takes all the money out of the checking account, or one of them drives away to get drunk at the bar or something. Whatever their next action is, you start that action, and that is where the chapter ends.
Nice, it's almost max writing skill, dude. Today is gonna be fucking sick.
When the car chase finishes and when one car escapes or gets caught. You want to end that chapter when the next stage of the plot starts. For example, the police is like, oh, put out an all points bulletin bulletin for this make and model of car. Or they say, we know exactly where they're going, like alert police in that next city that the criminal's coming their way. So ending with just that little tidbit, that little teaser of the next point of the plot will compel readers to keep on reading. Another option you have when considering, where to end your chapter is to end either in the middle of the action
That's
or
what
right as the
APB stands for. Stop my chapters when I get the feeling. Like in my mind, I just feel at a point, yeah, I gotta end it here. Can't describe the feeling. If you know, then you know. True, Joku. But you don't remember telling anyone on my email list that I published my second book. Well, you better get on that, Callie. Because it's all about spreading the word. That's how you get it out there.
Action begins. And for an example of this, I love Roberto Bolaño's short story in By Night in Chile. Roberto Bolaño is very famous
I've
South
only ever heard
American,
the
specifically
acronym.
Chile.
My brain just interrupts APB as a word. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not really, a peanut butter. True.
To keep on reading. Another option you have when considering, where to end your chapter is to end either in the middle of the action or right as the action begins. And for an example of this, I love Roberto Bolaño's short story in By Night in Chile. Roberto Bolaño is very famous South American, specifically Chilean author who wrote books like 2666 and The Savage Detectives. He ends the story with this line, and then the fight begins. That's the last line of the story, right? Just as the exciting part happens, he's like, nope, I'm stepping away.
An APB is a broadcast used by law enforcement to quickly inform other officers about a wanted individual a vehicle. Typically includes a description of the person or vehicle, location information, and other relevant details. APBs help coordinate efforts to apprehend suspects or find missing persons. All points bulletin. Oh, sorry, Joker. I didn't see your message. What's APB? It's an all points bulletin. Basically, it's like taking everything that you need and putting it out there. And the old school style of, taking like a bulletin board.
Was a second part to that. I would read the heck out of it. It's a wonderful opening up of the storyline and makes the reader very curious.
It's like the same thing. Good morning, Eddie in the mix. Welcome. How's it going, bro? It's like the same thing of if you know of a PSA. If you know what a PSA is. Because I used to do these all the time in film. That was like one of the main things that we did for like the school and stuff like that, for like events and stuff like that. Public service announcement. Cops in a show will say, I put out an APB on our suspect, and that means all the cops in the area know to be on the lookout for them. Yeah. It's basically a public awareness thing. All points bulletin.
About what's next. The fifth, completely natural seeming way to end a chapter, but which is completely wrong, is by resolving the tension. If there is no tension, then the reader doesn't have any reason to continue reading. You're basically telling the reader, it's okay, like, my story isn't that important. This mistake is kind of like the opposite of a cliffhanger. There is no cliff, there is no hanging, they're just on a plane in the Midwest. Now you might say to me, okay, John, that's very vague advice. I know I'm supposed to have tension at the end of chapters, but how do I get that in there? So let me give you a technique that you can use that will instantly add more tension to the end of your chapters. What you do is go into the beginning of your next chapter and take whatever the first event is at the beginning of that chapter. Hopefully it's a good event. And then you just take it and transpose, say, a paragraph of it and move it backwards into the last part of the last chapter. Because I bet you that wherever you started the next chapter, it felt like a beginning, like you started something, right? So just take that start and put it at the end of the last chapter, and now that chapter will end on a kind of beginning, a kind of start. Which
I was just thinking the best way I'd say this is like end the chapter on the intro of the next chapter. Alright, although I find it odd that I had never heard of the term till now. Maybe it's not a thing for law enforcement in Asia? Oh, Joku Killer, if your native language isn't English, then APB wouldn't be a thing, because it's a... All points bulletin is an English word, right? And APB, so like, it wouldn't naturally come about in a non-English speaking language. Like, let's look this up. Like, what would be... what is the equivalent of an APB, all points bulletin? I don't know how to spell bulletin. In Japan, let's say. It's in literally every cop show. You might not encounter... No, I think they mean in their native language. Levi. In Japan, the equivalent of an all-points bulletin in the United States is generally referred to as tehai or shime tehai in the context of police operations. These terms describe a nationwide alert or warning notice issued by law enforcement to locate and apprehend a suspect missing vehicle. This term is translated to wanted notice or alert. Specifically, wanted person notice. Yeah, see, so the vocabulary is going to be different because it's a different thing. So, like, if it was translated to English, it'd be a WPN, not an APB. So that makes sense. But, so whatever your native language is should have some sort of reference thing. But the fact that APB is so prominent is because, like, mainstream cop shows tend to be in English. Like, yeah, that explains it. I watch a ton of shows, but all from Asia, not Western. Yeah. So they wouldn't have it in, like in an anime. Like, if you're watching, like, a cop show anime, like, it wouldn't have APB in it. Unless you were watching the English dub. Then it would probably localize the translation to APB. But like, if what they actually say in the native language of the show would be completely different.
makes the reader curious about, like, what's...
My TV watching is 90% Asian television, dramas particularly. I mean, when I used to watch StarCraft, like, GSL, when it was, like, super popular in, like, 2018, because it was in Korea, all of the commercials were for, like, these ridiculous Korean television dramas. It was fucking hilarious.
Gonna happen next. Let's look at the ending.
I'm like, it's like daytime, taking me back to daytime TV in the 90s.
Of chapter 2 of Donna Tartt's The Goldfinch. She has this chapter ending where two characters arrive. Now, let's say she had written that at the beginning of chapter 3, which is the normal place you would think an arrival would happen. All she had to do was just move that single paragraph to the end of chapter 2, and
Don't trash on
we
my
have
dramas.
a lot of tension.
Well, that wasn't a bad thing, book. Why do you think daytime TV was the way it was? It was for stay-at-home moms. That is literally what it was for. Like, stay-at-home moms and others... The way you said it made it sound bad. No, it's just like, it's not my style, sorry. It's daytime TV. It is meant for a very specific demographic. And that's stay-at-home moms. That are going to be sitting at home watching TV all day. In the 90s. So, like, you know, staying home from school and what Korean dramas are meant for more. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, it reminded me of that. Because a lot of those like, ridiculous dramas were, like, the daytime during, and Asian dramas in general. Yeah, that's why they're, like, a little bit more ridiculous. At least from what I've seen. Like, you know, it turns into like a romance thing turns into like a murder, turns into like, you know, some sort of spy espionage. It's like every fucking episode is like adding a new genre to the fucking romance of the drama.
We have some
At least those were the ones that I saw that were promoted by esports. So that, again, that's probably a very specific, narrow part of Asian dramas too. I watch 99% anime shows. I don't watch live action stuff. The other 1% is stuff like Squid Game or Breaking Bad. It's so popular, I gotta watch it to find out what's the hype. True, Joku. The daily dramas in Asian countries are similar, yes. Oh, I could definitely see that. Because it's made for a very specific demographic, right? Not the full dramas. Yeah. And it's just... It's just the concept of, like, the demographic of who are the most amount of people that watch daytime TV. Well, it's stay-at-home moms. It's probably, like, 30% stay-at-home moms, and then the rest of it is spread across everyone else. So it's, like, made for a specific people.
And the reader's going to continue on to chapter 3. Now, this next mistake is kind of a tricky one. It is number 6, the redundant ending. Now, a redundant chapter ending is where the author is sort of recapping what went on in the chapter, like the same exact events, but summarizing them in dialogue or just like reflecting on them in some way. And perhaps authors do this because, you know, they've had the 5-paragraph essay drilled into them so hard in school, where in the conclusion, you just basically restate the introduction, right? And so they feel like, oh, in fiction, I should do that too. But what you're doing here is that you're looking backwards
We'll have to check
at
out
what
Jewel
happened
in
in
the
the chapter,
Palace.
rather than looking forwards to what happens in the next chapter. And I
I
think authors
still have
do
to
this
watch Andor
because
season 2.
maybe they don't know what's happening in the next chapter, especially if you're a pantser and you're just
So
like
good.
flying by the pants of your seat. You might not really know what to make the reader look forward to. So my advice is to really figure out what you want the reader to look forward to in the next chapter, and that'll give you the goodies to know what to tantalize them with at the end of this chapter. And the final mistake that we're going to talk about, which is a very dangerous one, is number 7, dialogue without larger resonance. Look, if you want to end your chapter with dialogue, that's a fantastic technique. Totally go for it, like no problems there. I think the trick is understanding when that dialogue's sort of a throwaway piece of dialogue that's not worthy of a chapter ending, and when it has some sort of broader thematic resonance that makes it like a stopper for the end of a chapter. Essentially, dialogue has to do something in order to earn its place at the
I just want to write, not learn.
coveted spot of the end of your chapter. I think you're looking for stuff like weight, like a really powerful line, or significance, like is this a line of dialogue which communicates something new or communicates something deep about the theme you've been discussing. Another option is to have dialogue with subtext. It means one thing on a surface level, but if you read it in the context of the whole narrative, there's a much weightier meaning. You want dialogue that is both an ending to the chapter and an opening up to the next chapter. Let's look at The Three-Body Problem by Liu Shixin. This was made into a fun Netflix miniseries. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. Now, there's a chapter where the chapter ends on this line.
Oh, I guess we're in ads, so we should probably let's just pause for a sec while we're in ads for all the plebs. I mean, what? They can't hear me. They're plebs. They're in ads. No one's a pleb. The only pleb here is me, guys. I'm the pleb. 'Tis what it is. We will get to, well, we're not even, like, we're doing line editing today. I like these lines in my story. When the weight inside her shifted, too heavy to bear, she brought her hands to her face, rubbing the delicate embroidered handkerchief softly across her cheek, tracing the faded stitches as if they could hold her together. The fabric slipped between her lips. She bit gently on its edge, grounding herself in the only comfort left. Nice. Nice book. That's epic.
line of dialogue, a pretty simple line of dialogue. It's let us be comrades. Now, why is this a good line of dialogue to end an entire chapter on? Well, because it's not just a line of dialogue.
I might have some chapters you can read next week. All right.
It is a ritualistic line that they say
actually, and all my chapters with dialogue, actually. Nice, Joku. As long as it hits hard, and it's like, remember, we are reading. Are we reading? Yes, we're reading today, Callie. We're definitely reading today. What was I gonna say about chapter endings? If you have like a system that you're using, don't compromise that system for what's supposed to be. Remember that every rule has exceptions. Understand the rule, why it exists, and use that to facilitate those exceptions. Like, my thing is, I almost wanted to end every chapter with them going to sleep, because sleeping's important because of dream sequences. And Husai's mind. And his connection with Gaia. So... But remember, you're never married to an idea, but always keep it in mind.
Into this secret society. Basically, there's a secret society that is inviting aliens to come destroy Earth. And so the way that the chapter is ending is new people are joining an organization, and so the reader wonders, like, what are they going to do in this organization? What are these new members going to accomplish? Okay, hopefully those 7 tips help you avoid the biggest pitfalls when ending your chapters. Also, if you haven't already watched my How to Write Good chapter endings, go watch that video for
76
a lot more positive
subscribers.
examples of what you can do to end
Callie,
your
there you
chapters
go,
well.
bro.
I should also note that chapter endings are something that I talk about in my Linchpin Writer book. And if you want more help with structuring your book overall, check out Bookfox Academy, which is my collection of 10 different courses to help you along the journey of writing your best story possible.
Nice. All right. Well, there you go. Go give Bookfox some love. Give him some likes. Give him some views. Give him some subscribers. Always love to support everyone.